In 1994, after going to IDMR for the first time, June 16th, 1994 to be exact, from that time for the next 7 days, from June 16th, 1994 to June 22nd, 7 days, after hearing about the vision given to Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley from Yahweh, no letter J, the tabernacle, human body chart, the Moses chart, and all of that. When I left IDMR, I began my research, my background check on Jesus Christ. For 7 days, I searched the dictionary, the encyclopedia. I searched the scriptures, doing a background check for the first time, really, for 7 days. When Sister Z came over, we weren't married at the time. When she would come over to my condo, I stayed in an upstairs condo. She'd see several Bibles out, several reference books, religious books out, notepads out, pencils out. And there I was for 7 days. I'm going to break this code. There's a code in the Bible. I'm going to break it. I just felt there was a code in the Bible. I was going to break this code. I was so sure I'm going to break this code. This went on for 7 days. Every day if you came to my home, to my condo, you would see the books on the floor, the coffee table and everything, notepads out. I was for real. I was inundated. I mean, my head was buried in the books. And I didn't know it at the time. But without any physical water, I was being baptized as I went down, head buried, like underwater, buried in a book, buried in the dictionary, buried in the encyclopedia, buried in the Bible. I was literally under spiritual water being baptized for 7 days underwater. Just studying, writing, taking notes, writing, turning the pages. Only pausing, really, partially pausing when Z came over. But when Z wasn't there, man, it was just me and the books. TV wasn't on, wasn't being distracted by anything or anyone. That lasted for 7 days. On day number 7, June 22nd, 1994, early that morning, I came up for air out of the water, the spiritual water of baptism. I'm not going back to the Christian church. I believe Dr. Henry Clifford Kinley's testimony. I believe in Yahweh Elohim and Yahshua. That was early that morning. Z came over. No, I think it's been so long now. I'm not sure if she came over or we met for brunch. I know we went for brunch. And I was telling her about, hey, I made up my mind. It's now no longer Jesus Christ, it's Yahweh Elohim and Yahshua. I remember coming back to my place, and I'm telling her around 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the spirit came over me. And I said, I don't know how big this thing's going to get. Martin Luther King started the same way with an idea in the room. Will you stick with me? And she said, we weren't married yet, mind you. She said, yeah, but what are you talking about? And I said, I don't know. I don't know where this is coming from. But she said, yeah, I stick with you. I didn't know what I was talking about, how big what's going to get. A few hours later, she had to leave. When she left, walked her to the door, books still everywhere on the coffee table, on the floor, and all of that stuff. locked the door behind her. She didn't get to the car yet. She was going down the stairs. When I went back into the living room, that's when it happened. That's when the visitation occurred. That's when he rose up, beginning in my belly, off and on that whole day, June 22nd, 1994. That's when, off and on that whole day, a butterfly sensation was inside my belly. It rose up quickly into my chest cavity, quickly into my head cavity. Then quickly out of my mouth came a loud man's voice, not my own. Another man speaking out of me, as is going to happen to all of you. And when he rose up, like he's going to rise up from within you, he's going to say these words, and I quote, Yahshua is the true Messiah, and the world has to know. Just like that. Before I knew it, both my arms are now over my head. Couldn't even put my own arms down. Went up over my head on their own. This is the power of Yahweh now. The rivers of tears began to fall from my eyes, brothers and sisters. While all this was happening, a song, a new song from heaven, began to sing out of my mouth. Here I am, a grown man, broad daylight, standing up in my living room, arms stuck over my head, crying like a baby. And now this new song is singing, as it is written, the new song from heaven. As it began to sing, brothers and sisters, it was the sound of an old Negro spiritual you hear in an old Pentecostal or old Baptist church, some sort of an old slave anthem of some sort. The voice that was singing from heaven out of my mouth was distinctly the voice of a so-called black man. This soulful sound coming out of my mouth, it sounded like a deep sounding Marvin Winans or Marvin Sapp type of a voice, as a heavy type voice, just a singing. Going along for the ride, nothing I can do, singing the song from heaven, this soulful sound. At the end of the song, he then forced me gently onto the ground like he's going to do you. Forced me gently onto the ground until I was flat on my face, flat on my stomach, as though I was a human rug, as you will be, helpless and powerless before the throne. Yes. And in this outstretched position, he began to speak to me with what I now call his spirit voice or his invisible voice. Why? Because I never heard him say anything with my physical ears, didn't hear a single word with my physical ears, but he spoke to me 3 times. Well, if you never heard a single word with your ears, and how do you know he spoke to you 3 times as opposed to 7 or 8 times? Because each time that he spoke, even though I didn't hear it, speaking to my inner man, my physical mouth responded to each time that he spoke to me. So he spoke the first time, and I said, I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Then he spoke a second time. I didn't hear a single word again. But then my mouth gave it away. My mouth said, you chose me. You chose me. Then he spoke a third time. Again, my physical ears never heard a single word. But my mouth responded to him by saying, I will follow you everywhere you go. I'll follow you everywhere you go. And that was the moment he allowed me once again to regain power and control over my body temple. Now, this took place June 22nd, 1994, 3:50 in the afternoon, Eastern Standard Time in good old Savannah, Georgia. Once he let me up, from then to now, I've been in a wilderness journey. Like a fine wine over 3 decades, having this gospel of the kingdom mature like a wine in a barrel, ripening maturing for the right time. And along the way, many mishaps and tribulations and landmines and obstacles to get me off the path, to get me off my course. Ran into every obstacle imaginable. Anything bad that can happen to a man, it happened to me. But at the end of it all, it is still Yahweh Elohim and Yahshua, the true Messiah, regardless to what happens to me. Hallelujah, brothers and sisters.